There's a retired couple in Scottsdale, Arizona, who haven't told their kids how much money they spend each month. Not because they're hiding anything, but because if their adult children knew the number, they'd be lectured. They'd hear phrases like, "You should be saving that," or "Are you sure that's wise?" And the parents have decided, after raising 3 kids and working 41 years between them, that they no longer want to explain themselves. So they spend quietly on exactly the things that make their lives feel worth living, and they sleep fine. What they spend on isn't flashy. It doesn't show up in the way their house looks or what car sits in the driveway. You wouldn't see it in a single Instagram post. But it adds up to something most financial advisors almost never talk about, which is the deliberate, unapologetic spending that separates the retirees who thrive from the ones who survive. Because here's the truth that contradicts nearly every personal finance article you've ever read. The people who are happiest in retirement are often the ones spending more, not less. And they're spending it on very specific things. This video is about those 9 things, not the obvious stuff like travel. Everyone tells you to travel. I'm talking about the spending categories that rarely show up in retirement planning conversations but show up everywhere in the lives of people who are genuinely content in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Some of these will surprise you. One of them you might actively resist. But by the end, I think you'll understand why the smartest retirees have figured out that money in retirement isn't really about accumulation anymore. It's about conversion. Converting dollars into time, comfort, connection, and health. Let's start. Number 1. Time. Specifically, buying time back. The most consistent pattern I've noticed across retirees who describe themselves as happy is that they spend money without guilt to eliminate the tasks they hate: lawn care, house cleaning, grocery delivery, handyman, repairs they could theoretically do themselves. The frugal retiree hears this and flinches. The smart retiree does the math differently. If you pay someone $150 to clean your house twice a month, you're not wasting money. You're buying 6 hours of your life back, 4 times. You're buying 24 hours a month that you no longer spend doing something you find draining and replacing it with something you find meaningful. At 68 years old, with maybe 25 active years left, that arithmetic changes everything. Smart retirees have made peace with outsourcing. They've decided that time is not only finite but accelerating, and that spending money to protect it is one of the most rational decisions they can make. Number 2, their health, proactively rather than reactively. This is the one most people do backwards. They'll drive to the gym that's covered by their Medicare Advantage plan for a class they don't like, rather than pay out of pocket for the personal trainer who actually keeps them accountable. They'll delay seeing a specialist for 6 months while their knee gets worse, because the copay feels like an expense rather than an investment. Smart retirees think about health spending like compound interest. Small investments made early pay off exponentially later. They pay for the therapist who helps them manage anxiety, even if it's not fully covered. They pay for the nicer walking shoes that protect their joints. They pay for the sleep study that catches the apnea nobody diagnosed in their 40s. Because the alternative, poor health at 75, is the single most reliable way to drain a retirement account fast. A hospitalization, a fall, a chronic condition that was preventable, these don't just cost money. They cost years. Smart retirees are spending now so they don't hemorrhage later. Number 3. Experiences with the people they love, without waiting. This sounds obvious, but the execution is where most retirees get it wrong. They wait. They wait until the grandkids are a little older. They wait until the knees feel better. They wait until travel feels less complicated. And while they're waiting, windows close. The grandkid who would have loved Yellowstone at 9 years old is 14 and uninterested. The sibling you've been meaning to visit books a trip without you. The parent who was going to come along passes away. Smart retirees have learned to act on the impulse rather than defer it. They book the trip now. They host the family gathering rather than waiting for someone else to organize it. They say yes to the invitation even when it's inconvenient. And importantly, they spend on these experiences without trying to get the cheapest version. They upgrade the hotel room that the whole family will share. They buy the tickets to the event everyone wants to attend. Because they know, with a clarity that only comes with age, that the memory is worth more than the savings. Number 4. Their home in ways that reduce friction. Not renovation for resale value. That's a younger person's game. I mean targeted spending on the house that makes daily life more comfortable and less effortful. The walk-in shower that eliminates the step-over tub, the garage door opener that works when it's supposed to, the mattress upgrade that finally addresses the back pain. Smart retirees make their home work for them. They add the second handrail on the stairs not because they need it yet, but because they know they will, and doing it now while everything is easy is smarter than doing it after a fall. They upgrade the kitchen setup so cooking remains enjoyable rather than laborious. They add better lighting in every room because eyesight changes and squinting through bad lighting is a slow drain on quality of life. The home in retirement should be a place of ease, not a source of daily small frustrations. Fixing those frustrations costs money. The smart retirees pay it. Number 5. Learning in whatever form genuinely excites them. This surprises people because we tend to think of education spending as something for younger people building careers. But the research on cognitive aging is unambiguous. People who keep learning, who keep acquiring new skills and engaging with new ideas, fare dramatically better as they age. Not because of any one class or skill, but because the habit of learning keeps the brain in a growth state. Smart retirees take the painting class. They pay for the online course in Spanish or photography or investing. They join the book club that costs a modest fee. They buy the books, the instrument, the art supplies. What they're buying isn't the skill. It's the engagement. The feeling that there is still more to discover. That feeling, it turns out, is one of the better predictors of retirement happiness that researchers have found. Number 6. Quality food, prepared and unprepared. The retirement years can become years of culinary surrender, eating whatever is easiest, cheapest, or fastest, because the energy to cook or the willingness to spend on good meals fades with fixed income anxiety. Smart retirees push back on this. They spend on the farmer's market produce. They buy the better cut of fish. They go to the restaurant they actually like rather than defaulting to wherever has a senior discount. They host the dinner party with the good wine. Food in retirement is not just fuel, it's social glue, pleasure, and a surprisingly powerful source of identity and joy. The retirees who constrict their food spending often report a subtle flattening of daily pleasure that compounds over years into a kind of gray routine. The ones who keep spending on eating well describe their days as anchored by something they look forward to, which turns out to matter enormously. Number 7. Comfort when traveling, specifically on transportation. This one generates real resistance from the frugal crowd, but hear it out. Smart retirees have largely stopped flying coach for long hauls. They book the non-stop flight even when the one stop is cheaper. They rent the slightly nicer car that's reliable rather than the cheapest option that may or may not have a functional air conditioner. On cruises, they pay for the cabin with the window. Why? Because at 65 or 70, the cost of travel discomfort isn't just physical. It's the 2-day recovery period that eats into the trip. It's the back pain from the middle seat that means you can't walk the city on day 1. It's the travel stress that poisons the first day of a vacation you waited 6 months for. Buying comfort when traveling isn't self-indulgence, it's protecting the investment of the trip itself. Number 8. Their social life, directly. Maintaining friendships in retirement takes money. The coffee dates, the club memberships, the theater tickets, the contribution to the group vacation, all of it costs something. And the research on loneliness in older adults is so stark that if loneliness were a medication side effect, the FDA would require a black box warning. Isolated retirees are at dramatically higher risk for cognitive decline, depression, and early death. Connected retirees are not. Smart retirees treat their social spending, even the parts that feel like indulgence, as a health expense. Paying for the golf club membership is paying for 3 mornings a week of walking, laughing, and being around people who know your name. Paying for the bridge group, or the book club, or the wine tasting is paying for a recurring reason to show up somewhere that isn't your own house. This is not optional luxury. It is, for many retirees, the most important spending they do. Number 9. Giving while they can see the effect. This is the one that surprises people most. Smart retirees often spend significantly on giving, and they do it while they're alive, rather than leaving it all to an estate. The research is consistent. People who give report higher levels of happiness, purpose, and life satisfaction than people who hold. But beyond the data, there's something powerful about being able to see your money do something meaningful in the world while you're still here to witness it. Helping a grandchild with a down payment, funding a local organization you care about, paying for a niece's first semester of college, being the person in the family who says yes when someone needs help. Smart retirees have learned that giving while living, as the estate planners call it, is one of the best uses of retirement money they know of. Not just for the recipients, for themselves. Here's what ties all 9 of these together. They're not about consumption for its own sake. They're not about spending to impress anyone. They're about deliberately converting money into what actually matters during the years when you have both the resources and, hopefully, the health to use them. Every retiree I've ever read about or observed who is genuinely happy has made some version of this shift, from accumulating money to deploying it, from protecting what they have to using it while it can still make a difference in how they live. And here's the thing about this shift that most financial planning conversations miss entirely. It has to be made consciously. The default mode of someone who spent 30 years building savings is to protect those savings. That instinct doesn't automatically dissolve when the last paycheck arrives. It has to be actively questioned, actively replaced with a new framework. The couples who do this, who sit down and deliberately decide that this chapter of life operates by different rules, tend to make the 9 spending decisions in this video without guilt. The ones who don't have the conversation keep defaulting to the old mode: save, protect, defer, and they look back at 62 from 78 and realize the best years of their retirement were spent in a scarcity mindset they didn't actually need. It's also worth naming the thing that makes this hardest. It's not the math. Most retirees who are underspending can afford to spend more. The calculator would confirm this. It's the identity. For many people who spent their careers in high-responsibility roles, or who built businesses from scratch, or who raised families on careful budgets, spending freely without a productivity justification feels wrong at a visceral level. Spending on a vacation feels justified if it was earned. Spending on a massage feels indulgent. Spending on first-class seats feels excessive. These are the feelings, not the finances, that prevent the spending decisions that would actually make retirement better. The smart retirees I've described in this video have found a way to reframe these feelings. The massage isn't self-indulgence, it's physical maintenance for a body that needs to carry them for another 25 years. The first-class seat isn't excess, it's protecting the trip they saved for 2 years to take. The dinner with the good wine isn't wasteful, it's celebrating the life they built. The reframe isn't rationalization, it's accuracy. These things genuinely are what they say they are. The problem is that a scarcity mindset that was appropriate for the accumulation years labels them as something else, and the label sticks past its usefulness. One practical thing you can do with this video right now is take the 9 categories and put a number next to each one. Not a dream number, a real number based on your current life and what would genuinely make it better. How much would you spend on buying back time this year? What would you spend on your health that you've been deferring? What experience would you book this week if money weren't the reason you hadn't? Add those numbers up, then look at your withdrawal rate and see if those numbers fit inside a sustainable plan. For most people who've saved diligently, they do. The reason they're not already spending is not that they can't afford to, it's that nobody gave them permission. Consider this, that permission. The couple in Scottsdale isn't spending recklessly, they're spending intentionally, on exactly the 9 things in this video, and they're doing it quietly, without explanation. Because they've figured out what most people only figure out too late, that a retirement account full of money you never spent is not a success story. It's a missed one. If this shifted how you think about retirement spending, the comment section is worth checking. I want to know which of these 9 surprised you most. And if this channel is new to you, subscribe. There's a lot more like this coming.